Okay. My name is Bill Zulius. Welcome to my house. I did my Sterling Men's Weekend, December 2013. I'd like to welcome Marc's family, friends, the Sterling woman, family of women, Sterling men, and the Canadian team. Anyone else not mentioned, welcome at this time. And right now, I'd like to introduce Malcolm Cook.
All right, welcome everyone, but welcome. It's fantastic to have you all here. I'm Malcolm Cook. I met Marc at the Sterling Men's Weekend 10 years ago. For the next decade, we were on a men's team together. Almost every week, we stood around a fire with the rest of the team, helping each other move forward in the areas of our lives that mattered the most, doing better for our families, our men, and our communities. Marc passed away on September 19th the same way that he lived, serving others. On that day, he was at a Spirit Weekend around the fire with the rest of the men. Spirit Weekend is an annual camping trip that we organized for 30 men, and Marc was leading a team of us to build a memorial on a 400-acre plot of land in Sandusfield, Massachusetts. The memorial is made out of 4 benches hewn from a tree, built in honor of John Groman, whose family owns the land, the site where we've held many, many Spirit Weekends. To honor Mr. Groman and his family, Marc made sure that that tree cut into 4 equal-sized benches made it out to Sandusfield. The benches are positioned around a large stone fire pit in the middle of an open field. It's a beautiful spot. That September morning, Marc was surrounded by his men doing what he loved, taking the lead on a service project. That's what Marc did, help others to bring their visions to life. Kaijala made a difference for all of us. He was a master carpenter, a fantastic son to his mother, a rock on our men's team, and one of my best friends. He could build a house from the ground up, and he did not cut corners. One afternoon this spring, while we were painting my house, I was covered in paint, because that's how I am. He looked at me, smiled, shook his head, and said, "Messy Marvin." Then he said, "Cook, pay attention to the details." That was one of his favorite sayings, and he lived it. He loved Led Zeppelin, barbecue, and the Bruins. He exemplified a no-problem attitude, whether he was driving a truck to deliver holiday presents to underprivileged children for Operation Elf, painting Transition House, a women's shelter in Cambridge, or picking vegetables at the community harvest farm to provide food for people in the Worcester area. No matter how busy he was, he always helped whenever any of us asked. Always. "Hey, Marc, can you tell me which stain to use on my baseboards?" No problem. "Kaijala, will you lead the project to rebuild the bridge at Harvey's farm?" No problem. He constructed the arbor at my wedding 5 years ago and spent 6 months this winter and spring spearheading the renovation of my house in Woburn. When I look at the kitchen, the floors, and the walls that he created, I feel him there. Here's what some of the men who were in men's circles with Marc had to say about him. Ian Piazza said, "He was never in a rush to tell you this or that. He was there to hear about how the heck you were doing. He prioritized caring about the men. He had a way of taking it all in. He was the pair of leather boots that made it through the mud, rain, and snow, and that looked rough, but would never tear." According to Ed Hunt, he demonstrated his care with the depth of his preparation, all the effort he put into preparing the site for Spirit Weekend and for the men. Ronald Benjamin said, "One of my memories of Kaijala is his sense of humor. I love it when he said his purpose is to help others while making a boatload of money in the process." According to John Turkentonis, he lived the masculine identity, and with that had my complete respect and confidence in anything we did. He proved it time and time again. There are so many fantastic and true things to say about Marc Kaijala. As I think of Marc, I imagine him in heaven, cruising in his Escalade, playing Led Zeppelin a little too loud, and eating a steaming plate of ribs on his way to a Bees game. I think he would like that. At our weekly team meetings, when we did our 1 to 10 check-in at the beginning of each meeting, Mark usually checked in by saying, Kaijala, and I'm a 9.75, because he felt he could always do a little better. Well, as far as I'm concerned, you're a 10 now, brother. God bless you. That's who Marc Kaijala was for me. Donna White, if you're out there in Zoom land, we'd be happy to hear from you if you have a few words to say about him.
Thank you, Malcolm. I'm honored to be here. I know Mark from volunteering with him. I am a member of the Family of Women, and he, in my book, is right in the dictionary next to hero. He just always smiles. I'm going to use present tense. He's smiling and he's saying yes. And I'd say the quality that stands out for me with Mark is willingness. It touches my heart. I better hold my heart here. He is everywhere. He was everywhere. He volunteered and volunteered and volunteered, and worked just as hard as he volunteered. I want to say this morning I figured out that, guess what? Mark is here. Mark is with us. And just as he was with send-off meetings on the elf truck and Community Harvest Farm, he was here. And his attitude was, I'm here for you. That's what it felt. Anytime I had to call him and ask for help, it was always a yes, without question. I want to say that I co-led some of the projects at Community Harvest Farm with Mark. And yes, he was always at the barbecue grill. He had a potluck picnic every time we picked the vegetables in Grafton for the sake of the Worcester County Food Bank. Mark was flipping burgers and sausages and making sure that that potluck lunch was just as wonderful as the time we spent giving to a charity. I think what I'll close with is just a intimate conversation that I had with Mark. We were by ourselves after a funeral. We were standing in the cemetery, and we were the only ones left. And we talked about God, and I shared with him something I want to share with you all who love Mark. And that is that when you lose someone who's dear to you, and the pain is there, and the helplessness and the loss is in your heart, if you think of them and remember a quality, some personal characteristic that stands out, that's a way to keep him alive in our world. And that is because you take that quality and you live it in his memory. So
Thanks so much, Donna. That was awesome. I'm going to ask Bill Zulius to just come up and say a few words. Mr. Zulius.
What Marc Kaijala was to me is also a brother, a man that definitely had a no problem attitude. And he just a powerful man, no problem attitude, all of what I've already heard from some people already. and the man was just incredible. A lot of fun. We had a lot of fun together, and come up to my house and have fires and go to each other's homes and push each other forward and up, and always attention to detail. We were always texting each other. You know, you said you're going to do ABC. Did you do it? And how does that show up in other parts of your life? So what are you going to do to change it or adjust it so you can go forward in life and be better for yourself, your family, and your surrounding communities? So it was always a push, but it was a great push because we're always pushing each other that forward in order to get somewhere instead of doing it alone and, you know, being able to just make a pass and not worry about it. So I miss him a lot, and a great man, a powerful man, and I just I miss him a lot, and may God rest his soul. Complete.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Zulius. I believe next up is a testimonial. This is an 18-minute video. It's a video that the men made on the Thursday following Marc's passing, and it was testifying to his influence in all of our lives. So I hope you enjoy it. And once it's done, it will give any of you a chance to say something about Marc. I'm Malcolm Cook, and I did my Sterling Men's Weekend with Marc Kaijala in June 2010.
I'm Tim Wilkinson. I did my Sterling Men's Weekend with Marc Kaijala in June 2010.
I'm James Smith. I did my Sterling Men's Weekend May 2013.
I'm Bill Zulius, and I did my Sterling Men's Weekend December 2013.
Together we are Team BMF, and Marc Kaijala was an integral member of our team.
One of the last things Kaijala did as the leader that he was lead a project of building benches out of a whole tree cut lengthwise in half and cut into 4 sections. And our team was on site putting those up.
And Marc was really meticulous about doing things right. And men would often be sitting on the benches or leaving things on the benches. We'd often hear, "Get off the bench." And then after that, "Thank you."
With that statement, it was an integral part of what the directive was as a team for the next step of what we need to do going forward.
So collectively, we've made a commitment to help ourselves and all men to
Get off the bench!
Hassel, Luke. What I got and learned from Mr. Kaijala was his humor. His humor has given me the ability to de-stress. It's quite obvious that Mr. Kaijala gave of himself 100%. The man was a great warrior. He would be dearly missed. God bless you, family, and Mr. Kaijala. Complete.
Kamenez. I've known Kaijala for, about 5-6 months. And in that time, he's definitely made a direct impact on my life. From just meeting him for the first time to, the last, he was happy and had the best attitude, just always funny. He definitely showed me just, no problem attitude, and gonna miss him severely.
My name is Bill Zulius, and Mr. Kaijala, I've known him for 6.5 years. I've been on his team BMF for about 6 of the years. The man was fantastic, funny, selfless, always there for us. Anytime any man needed anything, that man would show up with a no problem attitude. Miss him dearly. I know he's with us all the time. May God bless him, and may God bless the family of the Kailas.
Hi, Kaijala family. I'm Malcolm Cook. It's a real honor to meet you all today at the funeral. What more can I say? Marc was a brother to me. We were on a team together for 10 years, ever since we did the men's weekend together. He renovated my house. We laughed together all the time. he's a brother, and I miss him a lot. I'm going to remember his service, his selflessness, his dedication, his love for all of you and for Cynthia. And he's in my heart forever, a brother until the end. So just thank you for bringing him and sharing him with us. I'm so grateful to have known him, and I love him. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ed Hunt. Kyle, I still remember when you came to the circle. You were always cared a great deal. You gave a lot. And I just remember the big smile and how you lightened up the circle. We're going to miss you. We're going to carry that forward. And thank you for everything you gave.
Hi, my name's Tim Wilkinson. I did my weekend June 2010. I did my weekend with Marc Kaijala because we shared a sponsor. That sponsor is my brother, Troy Wilkinson, December 09. My sponsor was out of state and he couldn't be here for this event, and he asked me to honor Kaijala with his words. Marc Kaijala was a man that any man could appreciate. He worked as hard as any man I know. He was generous with his time and his care toward others. He asked for little and he gave much. From the moment I sponsored him into the Sterling Men's Weekend until his death, his commitment to the men and what the Sterling Men's Weekend stands for was evident. His memory will be one I cherish, but most importantly, his legacy is that of an honorable man.
My name's Leighton Bates. I was just getting to know Mr. Kaijala. We met back in May 2019. He demonstrated selfless service. Every time I saw him, no matter what we were doing, he demonstrated what it is to care for others, to care about the community and beyond, really the world, even with his efforts through his businesses. And we had some common interests and passions together. Really stood out. You know, he was always making jokes. He was a funny guy. Always. You know, he was a selfless man. But we shared a moment not too long ago where we talked about what it is to be self-centered, spiritually centered. And that was a side I had never seen. I don't know how many others did. But that was a very important moment for me. So no matter how much fun or how little fun you have in life, you just really drove home that point of giving to yourself just as much as you give to others. In a sense, it was to give of your excess, not your essence. And that's something I'm really going to carry with me.
I met Kaijala about 5 to 6 months ago to help out in the Spirit Weekend, and we never met in person. We were communicating over Zoom, and he always seemed to have a joke ready to liven everybody's moods. And when the time came for us to actually meet up in person, he made a couple jokes. A couple of them were about like elbow bumps and social distancing and stuff like that, and it's a good way to remember him by, about him spreading his humor and making everybody laugh and smile.
Tim Catlin. When I first met Marc Kaijala, it was at a Spirit Weekend, and we were on a team together, and he always had this go-get-it attitude, always fired up, always brought a lot of energy. After that, every weekend, every Spirit Weekend that came after that, because it was the only time I really got to see him, he was one of the men that I really looked forward to seeing. Even this past weekend, one of the first men I went up to say hi to and just kind of bust his chops a little bit, because he was sitting there with his level, getting everything just perfect on those benches. And it was surreal, you know, just to be there with him every year. Always great attitude, always brought a great energy. I always look forward to seeing him, and we'll definitely miss him.
My name is Jay Krish. I wanted to talk a few words about Mr. Kaijala. He was one of the kindest souls that I've ever been in contact with. He was a funny man with a great sense of humor. He always gave one of the best hugs every time he saw me. With Krish! More importantly, what I learned from him was how much he cared, how much he gave, and with what context he lived his life. You know, it matters how long a person lives to a family. So it's his untimely death might have caused you pain. But know that he has lived a good life, and he gave it all when he did. And the quality of that life that he led will go a long way, as he created an example for people like me. So may his soul rest in peace, and God bless you.
So my name is Derek Ebrecht. I met Marc Kaijala sometime in 2011. So I've known him for about 9 years. What can I say about Mr. Kaijala? He was a good man with a good heart, and he often would put others before himself, and it was always a pleasure to be around him. Anytime anybody needed something, somebody asked for some help with a project or just getting something done, he often would just step up and say, "Yep, I'm here. Let me help you." And that was a great example for me. Just cool to see. I heard some of his exploits of when he was a younger man, from helicopter skiing and some other stuff. So it was to get to know him over the years has been amazing. To visit his brother Craig's farm and help do some work there, as well as enjoy that property, was a pleasure. He will be sorely missed by all the men in our community, and as well as his family. I have no doubt will miss him. And I am a better person for having known him.
Arnold, December 09, and I am a 9.75. And I knew Marc Kaijala very well. I did a lot of things with him, and I was just thinking probably 99% of the things I did with him involved either a chainsaw or pounding nails. And one of the things I will say that I am very grateful to Marc for is those opportunities. I am a man who makes my living behind a mouse and a keyboard, and Marc gave me those opportunities to get out into the woods and do these things. And it's funny, I never met a man who had a real knack for doing these odd kind of projects, like building a bridge, fixing a barn door, building these benches out of a tree trunk. Just amazing how he would see these things and knew how to get them done, and no matter what, he figured it out. I'm very grateful for my time with him. I'm grateful for the fact that he asked me to be his S1 at the Spirit Weekend. And the reason he asked me, because he knew we worked well together, because when we did, I always knew who was in charge. It was Marc. Because I trusted him. I never had to question anything. So anyways, that's what I wanted to say. Grateful for my time that I have spent with him, and he's a phenomenal and amazing man. Over and out.
Justin Baglow here. Just wanted to pass on my condolences to the family. I had a chance to know Kaijala since roughly about 2011. Unfortunately, I only got a chance to see him a couple times a year, but one thing that I wanted to pass on is every time I ran into him, he was always smiling and he was always so incredibly positive and gave you the biggest hug that you would ever know. Honestly, I'm really gonna miss that. And as I said, condolences to the family, and I'm grateful to know the man and to be able to work with the man on certain occasions, and definitely gonna miss him.
Hi, my name's Tim Spellman. I've known Marc Kaijala for about 8 or 9 years. The thing that I remember talking to him about at length was his passion and industriousness around alternative energy, about making the solar energy stuff come to life. He taught me about the technology part of it, which just turns me on like crazy because I love science and technology, but he also taught me about the economics, about how the business part of it works. He talked about how the electric network worked and how you site the different places that you would want to put energy generation stations. It just, what a learning experience it was for me to be with that man. So I'm going to miss him.
Hi, I'm John Turcantonis, and I've known Marc for a number of years, 8 or 9 years or more. And what I want to say about Marc is he was a terrific man, and he really held his whatever he was doing. He held it, what we call in Sterling world, post. He held it strong, and he was always willing to volunteer. And I managed a bunch of different service projects that he was a part of, and anytime I had to pull a team together, one of the first phone calls I would make was always to Marc, because I knew that he was definitely going to do it, you know. And he did a fantastic job. He always worked hard. He was a good friend. He had a great attitude. You know, we talked and went out to dinner a few times, and he just was a wonderful man, and I was completely shocked to hear about his passing. But the one thing that he gave us that I can repeat here is that he said, "Get off the bench," to a man. And he meant it like, get off the bench. But in Sterling world, that is something like, get off your butt and go do what you're supposed to do. And it's I'm glad that it's been adopted. Some men have had it on T-shirts and so forth. And to me, it's an equivalent to you know, like in 9/11 with the phrase "Let's roll," and he created that, and he's going to be sorely missed. I'm complete. Thank you.
I'm John Avery, and I knew Marc Kaijala for the last 10 years. And I know him through my company. So Marc was telling me that he has this great product, and it's all about solar energy. So he talked me into having this marketing lunch down in Worcester, and myself, along with Marc, and then he brought another partner with, and he brought the whole spiel about how my company, and I run a water company, and I have about 400 or 500 acres of land, that I could put all kinds of solar products on my land. It sounded pretty good, and Marc said, "You're going to get rich, and I'm going to get rich." And I really enjoyed how he did this. So I connected him with some of my staff, and they worked on it for a couple of years. I'm sad to say we were not able to work it out so that we don't have any solar products, but the process was really fun, and he seemed to be really enjoying it. I also got to know him through some of the men's work, and through that work, he was really phenomenal. I'm going to really miss him.
All right, hello, my name is Redmond, and I met Kaijala probably about 3 or 4 years ago through the men's work. We met at several outdoor weekend men's events, and the first time I met him was we were throwing axes, and he was just amazing at it. And then I found out, like, not only was he good at like axes, he actually built the targets that we were throwing at, and he had set up the whole event. It's like the targets that he built were like amazingly crafted, and then we're sitting at these picnic tables that folded up at the end of the event until like they were made out of one sheet of plywood. I found out that he made those too, and just I don't know, like Kyla, whatever he did, he was great at it. Whether it was throwing axes or building, like he was phenomenal at it. And he was someone that I always looked forward to meeting at different events. Like I would like look at the list and see who's coming, and if I knew Kyla was there, I was looking forward to seeing him, and he would definitely be missed.
Okay, thank you very much from the men. We're going to now open the floor. My name is Daryl. Once again, if you haven't already put your name into the Q&A, then we will line you up. We ask that you keep your comments brief so that we get a chance to get to everyone. We're going to start with Nathan Lee. Nathan, how are you, sir? Where are you calling in from? From my understanding, you were a man on his men's team, a friend and a business partner. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm so grateful for this. You men did a great job putting this together. I couldn't make his funeral, and that was really bothering me. So this is a great opportunity for me. He was one of my best friends, and we were embarking on a business venture that took everything we had, and he's definitely missed in that. And I wish he was here. He was a man I could call with any problem that I had, and he could call me with any problem. He taught me a lot. He was one of the best carpenters I ever seen. And when I heard it, I couldn't even believe it that he passed away, because he seemed so healthy. And, you know, all the conversations I had with him before he did his weekend about how, you know, he was given the year to live, and he lived his life on his terms. And his family, you should be so proud of him. He was a great man, and I was blessed to know him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, Mr. Lee. And we're going to move right now over to Mr. Benjamin. You have the floor, sir.
All right. My condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Kaijala. I did my weekend on May 2008, and I think I met Mr. Kaijala 7 years later. Who he was for me, he was a model of a man. You know, he spoke the truth, he kept his word, but also he was a man of great spirit. His purpose, I'll always remember, I will never forget this. He said that, you know, he wants to live a life where he wants to help as many people as he can and make a whole lot of money doing that. And so we will often laugh at this. And then he came to me about 4 years ago, because I have background from Haiti. He said, "Hey, Benjamin, you know, let's bring solar power energy to Haiti." And, you know, 4 years ago, I was not interested. You know, I was doing other things. And this year, you know, if anything I want to do is to do just that. And so Mr. Kaijala died in my hand, you know, and I feel very sad. But certainly that spirit, you know, this light that you represent to me in my life now, that I will carry on those words, that to bring light to Haiti the way he wanted to, you know, this idea of solar power, energy, and this is my quest. I'm heading to Haiti at the end of the year, and I'm going to look into ways on how I can do just that. Thank you for the time I've met him and learned from him, and give me what I have now, a sense of light to bring into the world, as he did to all of us, to his men and his family, particularly his girlfriend. He would talk to me about how he feels about her, how much he loves her. So I'm very grateful for that experience, and looking forward to live that legacy of bringing life and light to this world as he did. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benjamin. And can you just remind us, you were a man on his team, is that right? On one of his teams?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
great. And where are you calling in from today?
I'm calling from Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Okay, well, thank you for your words. And we're going to move on now. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Is it Vasquez? Matt?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Vasquez. Okay, you have the floor, sir. Before we start, I understand you were also a man on his team. And where are you calling in from? And then you can say what you need to say.
Yeah, so I'm currently based out of Dorchester. I met Marc Kaijala about 5 years ago through the men's community. And throughout those years, I was involved in certain projects and teams with him at various times. I just wanted to share a quick story here that really represents who Kaijala was for me. Because the thing that took me off guard about him when I first met him is just how generous he was, and sharing anything about his life that he thought might help you, looking to go out of his way to help you if he could, and not having to be, not asking anything of you. He just wanted to do it. And it just always surprised me how eager he was to help you, even if he didn't know you that well. And yeah, the quick thing I wanted to share, and just really, this just goes out to the family. I just want to give you my heart and give you, my thoughts and prayers about what you're going through, and really just let you know that who Mark was for me was that man of just such a generous spirit. About when I moved into a new place with my wife in January, I was trying to hang up this vanity, and I couldn't do it. I'm not as handy as Mark, and it was probably a 2-person job. And I called Mark, and this was about a year after being not involved in the men's community as much, because life took control of me, and I just haven't been as involved as much. Called him out of the blue, not having spoken to him in a year, maybe a year and a half. He picks up the phone. He says, "Yes, I'll be there on Saturday." He shows up. He helps me install this vanity. I didn't have the right tools, so he kind of made fun of me about it. He said that I had this wall scanner that couldn't detect the studs very well, and he says, "I know what I need to get you for Christmas." Just so that spirit and that humor really shined through. We had a great time. We had some laughs. I made sure I gave him some money for just coming all the way out there and being so generous. He didn't want to take it, but I insisted on it. And I just really wanted to make sure that story was shared here and told, because it really is just such a reminder of the type of an example of the man that I want to be. And I'm just really grateful for having the opportunity to know Marc Kaijala. And thank you for this opportunity to share that story.
Thank you for your words. We're going to move to Mr. Lefevre. Lefevre, am I saying your name correctly? Lefevre?
You are. Thank you very much.
And you're part of the Sterling community as well. And where are you calling in from? And the floor is yours.
Sure. Jason Lefevre. I'm calling in from Hopedale, Massachusetts. I first met Mark about 5 years ago after doing my men's weekend, and the community of men that embraced me as I figured out who I was as a man and how I wanted to live my life. Just a very, very formative period of my life for me. And Mark embodied everything that everybody has said today. He was generous. He was fun. He had a carefree approach towards life. I always saw him not only giving back to everyone around him, but also constantly bettering himself, constantly going after it, getting off the bench, and figuring out a way to live the best life possible. And the story that I want to bring is about a service project where we were picking vegetables for the local community food banks. And I was able to bring my 3 children there, and we got dirty and sweaty and it was hot, but Mark was there. His voice was loud. His smile was huge. And he was not only an example to the men and women around him, but also to the children around him as well. And I'll never forget the amazing times that I spent having fun working around fires, feasting on food with Mark. He's truly missed, and my prayers go out to all that are mourning his loss right now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Lefevre. We appreciate your words. We're going to move on now to Joy Hartwell. My understanding, you worked with Mark on the Elf truck. Well, is that from Santa's Circle up north, or is that a different?
No, this is the Operation Elf. So I'm part of the Family of Women group that Donna White is also part of, and so our communities, the men and women's, the men's teams and the women's community come together once a year around December to collect toys, and not just toys, but clothing and other essentials for kids who don't have anything. And one aspect of that, after we all gather together, is to deliver all of these things in big Ryder trucks, and these trucks are being driven to many inner city agencies with very, very tight spots. And I mean, so my experience of Mark in the last 2 years that I've been on the truck with him, we deliver these things to places that you can't even imagine. He can back a truck through a keyhole with absolutely fearless, and he's just fun and just no problem. The thing, and one thing that I think most people are never going to know, other than me telling it right now, is one of those. Our directions are mostly okay, but not great for trucks. And one time we had a really, really tight turn to make in a side street, and I was outside trying to direct traffic and noticed that our truck nicked just barely a car that was on the corner there. He just couldn't make the corner. So I just told him about it. I didn't think there was much damage. It didn't matter. He immediately wanted to write down his information and leave it on the car so that if that person wanted to contact him, they could. He's a man of integrity. And I was like, wow. You could barely even tell there was any scratch, but he wanted to make sure that that person, was taken care of. And that's just who he was. So he really made an impression on me, and he's just fun. I'm sure everyone knows that who knows him. He's a blast. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. We appreciate you sharing those words. Really, really endearing. And we're going to move over to Mr. Tim Wilkinson now. Where are you calling in from, and what's your relation to Mark? And you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tim Wilkinson. I'm calling in from Salisbury, Massachusetts. I did my weekend with Mark and Malcolm Cook in June 2010. We've done a lot of volunteer work together. I've been thinking a lot since he passed away about how we were different and how we were the same. So he complimented me quite a bit, because to give you an example, I had a project I was doing in Marlborough, Mass about 7 or 8 years ago, and I subcontracted him to do part of it. And I wanted it done in a week, and he wanted it done right, and they didn't go together. And he convinced me, to let it take twice as long. He does amazing work. So he was everything that I wasn't. He was a detail person, and he would remind me of details that I missed. If I told him something a month ago, and then I bring up that at another time, he'll say, Wilkinson, you and I were talking about a month ago, and you told me blah, blah, blah. And he was right every time, he may not have thought and moved as fast as others, but he was so much sharper in so many ways, and he kept us all on our toes. That's all I got. I'm complete. Thank you.
We're going to move on to Mary Carol Lodge. First of all, where are you calling in from? And from my understanding, you want to share a few words about how Mark influenced you and your son's life. So
yeah.
Where are you calling in from?
So amazingly enough, I didn't realize that Jason is also in Hopedale, Massachusetts, which is where I'm calling in from. So thank you, men, for putting this together. And I want to say, just to preface what I have to share, and I know it has to be, short and sweet. I was able to be at the funeral, and I was touched and moved and impacted by everything that everyone has shared. And my heart goes out to his family, everyone around him. So what I wanted to share is, I knew Mark. We spent some time together, and when I was getting ready to move into my new house, the men put together a team to help make that move happen. And it was myself and my son. And my son was directly impacted by the relationship that he gained on that day one time in particular, when we were putting blankets away after we had unpacked and then unloaded the truck at my new home. And my son, they could not fold the blanket in the truck. And Mark kept saying, keep your eye on what I'm doing. Follow my lead. And, you know, my son to this day, you know, every time we fold a blanket now, we always think of Mark. You know, and just the most amazing energy, happy, always smiling, gave a phenomenal hug, which I will never, ever, ever forget. And just like such a man of integrity, of love for people around him, regardless of how long or short he had known them. And I just thank him for everything that he has brought to myself, as well as the men and the women that he's had in his circle of many. So thank you again, and I'm complete.
We really appreciate those words. And we're going to move over to Mr. Mike Sutter. Go ahead, you have the floor.
Nathan Lee and Mark sponsored me. And at that time, Mark gave me this. It was a compass. And he told me that when I was at the weekend, when I got to that point where I wanted to walk away, look at the compass, it'll show you the way, trust yourself, and you'll be fine. And I did that, and it was very helpful. And he's always been helpful to me ever since then. So I value the time I spent with him. He was a very special man. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Sutter. We appreciate your words. And we're going to move now over to Sarah Procheski.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, I got it right. I can't believe it. And you were affiliated and did some work with Mark with Operation ELF, another ELF operator, and part of the Sterling community. Where are you calling in from, Sarah? Tell us a little bit about what's on your mind.
I'm calling in from Needham, Massachusetts. And I'm really gonna miss Mark a lot. The type of events that I was involved with, working with Mark, I'd been going at full speed for a long time during all these events, and his help would come in towards the end of those. And, I'd be out of energy, and it was like an energy drink. His smiles, his hugs, his sense of humor, it would really just inspire me and give me that burst to finish what I needed to do. His generosity, and like just joy, that final burst of what I needed. Really, really gonna miss working with him. But I'm extremely grateful that I had the time that I did with him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It looks like Steve Morley, we got a hand up. Go ahead, you have the floor.
My name is Steve Morley. I live here in Mendon, Mass, right next door to Hopedale. So apparently there's a couple folks in the neighborhood. Mark and I met probably close to 20 years ago. And at the time he was doing some work on a neighbor's house, and we just kind of started hanging around, and we just kind of clicked. And then the two of us got into this offshore fishing thing, which was quite an adventure. Had no idea what we were doing. We'd travel hundreds of miles off everywhere in this little tiny boat, and we just have just a great time. I used to tell him, there's a picture on the website of Mark holding a little bird. He caught more birds than anybody I knew. I used to tell him he could catch everything but fish. And we've had, just amazing, amazing adventures. Probably the one that sticks out the most, partially because it was probably one of the first encounters we ever had with any kind of big animal out in the ocean. And it was a lunar eclipse in August, and we headed somewhere off of Nantucket, probably about 50 miles offshore. And we're sitting there, and we said, oh, well, let's try here. So we start fishing, and the lunar eclipse starts. The whole moon is red, and I hear this. I was like, what the hell was that? Mark goes, I don't know. I heard it over here too. And we could hear it all around us. And I was like, well, let me go turn the light on. And no sooner had I turned the light on than we're surrounded by whales feeding all around us, and all the rods go off. And the two of us looked at each other and went, what the? And it was incredible. I mean, it was a bunch of tuna that came through feeding with the whales. And it was at that moment we made the connection of whales in fishing. So we've been chasing whales ever since. We've had crazy, crazy, crazy adventures, and I miss him dearly. And my condolences to the family. And it was quite devastating to both Carol and I, my wife. So Godspeed, Mark.
Okay, thank you. Are you complete?
Yeah.
And right now we're going to go to Amy Clark, who's part of the Family Women. Hi, Amy.
Hi, how are you? Yes, my name's Amy Clark, and I actually did my Sterling weekend in 2014. And Mark was probably one of the first Sterling men I met, and I'm an avid hand raiser, and he would be at everything that I would raise my hand for. And I just love Mark's infectious smile, the energy that he had. And when Malcolm told me about this, and you know, I drive between Maine and Massachusetts, and this is about halfway in between. And I just feel like Mark was always a guy that showed up with a big smile. So I felt drawn to just show up and give my support and whatever for Mark, because he is going to be missed. He is missed. It just was heart-wrenching to hear what happened to Mark. And I'm just hoping that we all stay together and do really great things in Mark's name. And I want to help do that. And I got to do Operation Alpha with him, just so many things. I even bid on something that he donated, and he came to my house. Like, we've had a lot of interactions over the years, and the energy that he just exuded was incredible. And even I'm just grateful for the men putting this on and being able to be on time and late at the same time, because I got to watch as I was driving down and show up. So it really was awesome. So it's crazy where our world's brought us, but I'm grateful that we all get to be here from all parts of the world just to honor such a great man. I even got to play with him in Cynthia at one of our community gatherings. That was I just feel so grateful to have had him for the moments that I've had him in my life. So I'm complete. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Sarah and Chris, Jarrell wanted to acknowledge Mark. Thanks for the help with ELF, the ELF program. So just passing that on. They didn't want to necessarily speak, but they wanted to pass that on. So thank you to everyone that had an opportunity to speak. We're going to go back to New Hampshire to Mr. Cook at this time.
Fantastic words from all of you. Thank you so much. It was touching to me. I've certainly heard a lot of testimonials about Mark, but a lot of the things that you all added meant a lot. And I'm gonna watch this whole tape when it's done, because I want to hear you all again. So one thing that Mark spearheaded, one of the many projects that I mentioned earlier and that's been talked about on more than one occasion today, are the benches that the bench project in Sandusfield. And we held many spirit weekends in Sandusfield. It was a yearly camping trip from anywhere from 30 to 50 or 60 men. And these are pictures of those memorial benches that Mark designed. He led the cutting down of the trees. He led the transportation to Sandusfield. And these benches now sit on 400 acres of the Groman's land in Sandusfield, Mass, where we hold Spirit Weekend most years. And they're going to be a lasting memorial both to John Groman and to Marc Kaijala. So every time we go back, we're going to be reminded of Kaijala and the difference that he made for all of us. So he really, he was the one who headed up this whole project. And we got those benches built from scratch thanks to him. There's one more thing, just in case, well, to carry on this legacy, and because Jim Harvey owns Harvey's Farm in Westboro. We've had hundreds of men's meetings there. It's where Mark and I did our point program right after the weekend, meeting every week for 10 weeks, our kind of training after the men's weekend. And we are going to have a dedication to the bridge at Harvey's Farm. Mark basically built that bridge at Harvey's Farm. You can see him working in the foreground there. He led that another project to build the bridge that's in Westboro, Mass at Harvey's Farm. We have men's meetings there all the time. In fact, the monthly tribe meeting that we have is still there. And we're going to dedicate that bridge in Mark's honor sometime this spring. Probably, we've set aside a tentative date of May 15th. So you can just put that in your calendars. If anyone wants to come to Harvey's Farm in Westboro to dedicate the bridge to Mark, we'll do that. And we'll finalize the date with Jim Harvey as the spring approaches. But I just want you all to know that that is another fantastic memory of Mark and another fantastic project that he headed up. Don't leave yet. We're nearing the end, and thank you all for sticking around. But we do have a piece of music to play next. And then the Zoom room is going to remain open in case people want to say hello to people they haven't seen. You certainly don't need to stick around, but we do have a piece of music to play. The room's going to remain open. I just want to say on behalf of the production crew here in New Hampshire and Toronto, which would be Mr. Namazi and Mr. Dan Clefs, and then we've got our men in Toronto headed by Mr. Komaromi, as well as Terry. So thank you all for attending, especially I believe his mother was online. So thank you so much, Helene, for being here. Mark was an amazing person, and that's mainly due to you. Thanks to Sin, his girlfriend, for being here. Craig, if Craig Kaijala was able to make it, I'm not sure, but thank you to Craig and Mark's brothers. Thank you to the Sterling women and to the family of women and to the Sterling men. As I said, the room's going to stay open for chatting after the song completes, so stay as long as you like, but we do have one last song, and really just wonderful to see you all here. It's been an honor, and you all made it happen, so thank you.
I know your life on earth was trouble, and only you could know the pain. You weren't afraid to face the devil. You were no stranger to the rain. So go rest high on that mountain, 'cause son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven shouting love for the Father and the Son. Oh, how we cried the day you left us. We gathered round your grave to grieve. Wish I could see the angels' faces when they hear your sweet voice sing. So go rest high on that mountain, 'cause son, your work on earth saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. So go rest high on that mountain, 'cause son, your work on earth is done. Go to heaven shouting love for the Father and the Son. Go to heaven shouting love for the Father and the Son.
How's everyone doing today? We're all live. This is pretty cool.
It's very cool. Thank you, men, for putting this together. Malcolm Cook, you rock.
Oh, geez.
He's the coolest cat in the whole group.
Well, no,
I think it's so cool. You know, I mean, I think I knew that there were men in Hopedale, but holy smokes, like, wow, it's becoming to be a serious gathering of Sterling and God knows what. So
well, we now have the technology, and we can even bring in parallel universes like Nathan Lee, who's in a sideway universe.
Oh yeah. There we go.
I wanted to introduce you to Mr. Craig and Mr. Martindale, Toronto production team. Without their help, I would be completely messed up. And of course, the New Hampshire team as well.
Great work. I just want to thank the New Hampshire crew here, the AV crew. This is Mr. Namazi and Mr. Ancliffe. They were responsible for all the cameras and mics out here at Zulius's house in New Hampshire. So tech crew in Toronto and New Hampshire. Awesome job, all of you.
Yay.
Really.
Go to waste.
Anybody from
Brooklyn.
outside of New Hampshire and Mass?
Brookline.
Yeah, Brooklyn over here too.
Brooklyn. All right.
New Jersey.
New Jersey, what exit?
One.
Good to see you, Brad. Been a while.
Yeah, you too.
Donna, it's so good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks to all the men. Your testimonials were heartfelt and just a beautiful tribute to Mark. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Sherman, Mayo 4. I put together I was head of a Spirit Weekend in 2018, and that's when I first saw Kaijala. He was, there's just no problem I asked teams to be included in different event, and I think he was the first one to step up his team to do the axe throwing contest, and yeah, a phenomenal man. And it was also an honor to see him at this Spirit Weekend. So yeah, great man.
As well as I knew Mark, as well as I thought I knew him, today was really just an eye-opener for how many things I didn't know about him, how many areas that he served in that I knew nothing about. I've worked with him at Community Harvest and obviously Operation Elf. And another memory I have is working with him in what we call the 1 million penny drive, was to collect 1 million pennies for a couple other charities. And I just remembered we were talking about how to collect all these pennies in these cans. And he showed up with his, beat up van and had all these containers, cutting slits in the containers to get them out into the community, so that I think we ended up collecting about $5,500 that was donated to two different charities. But my memory of him is just having these containers and cans, and coming up with that and just making it happen. Basically, it was fantastic knowing him. And I'm blessed to know him and to work with him in the past.
Yes, thank you for saying that. That charity helped children in foster care that had to move to different homes in their journey, and Mark's heart went out to that part of what some children have to go through. So thanks, Chad.
And thanks to Mark's mom, Helene Schott, who is on the call. We already have $100 donation to ELF from Helene. So thank you so much for your gracious donation. Thank you.
Woohoo! Wow. I want to say that when I was on the phone with Mark, we were planning some project or something, and he said, I have to go. I'm taking my mother out to a Japanese restaurant. I'm going to sit on the floor.
Aww.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have to say, like the day that we moved, and thank you, Malcolm, for putting that tremendous picture of all of us, the team that moved my son and I into our new home. One of the fondest memory of that day, I will never forget it, is how to fold one of those moving blankets. And they're not small. And we did it a number of times until Jonathan finally said to me and looked at Mark and said, okay, I got it. I know how to fold this blanket now. It was priceless.
Kyla was very detail oriented. He'd be like, Cook, you're not painting that wall right. Uh-oh, is Uncle Mark watching? Uh-oh.
Oh, God.
Hi, everybody. This is Carrie. I wanted to share a few things I've been thinking about with Mark's passing. And I think there's just so much I could say. I guess I'll just stick to a couple of stories that he really touched me through. I was working with the ELF team, and in this particular year, I was helping and manage transportation team, which I hadn't done before. And we had a initiative to get all of these gifts. We get so many generous people donating to the charities. And we had a fairly decent sized team, but we really need this last man to be a driver for us. And Mark was the man, and it was no problem. And, similar to what Joy shared earlier, he not only showed up to fill the spot, but he did it with talent and an amazing attitude. And he brought so much to our team. He brought so much fun. He just really reminded me that this was about bringing the magic and having fun, because I tend to get lost in the details a little bit, especially being a manager in this case, making sure we were successful. And then last fall, we had an opportunity to work together, being part of Family of Women, and with his team to rake some lawns for some elderly folks. And we weren't really sure how many lawns we'd get to, but we had, a good amount that we had interest in having some help. And I think we just got more and more energy and more high on getting to these lawns. And, we had 6 of us blowing leaves, raking leaves. And again, he was just an incredible leader, and just was so present. Like, you just look at his face and you knew he was with you. He didn't hold back anything. And that's what I wanted to share. And I hope to be able to follow in his footsteps and bringing my all to everything like he did and being so present there for others. God bless him. May he rest in peace.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie.
I wish I'd been able to send the picture of Mark when the tree fell on my house. I didn't know who else, I don't know who else could have taken that over, gotten the damn thing out of there, fixed the roof, and then went in and fixed the rooms inside. It was a masterful piece of work.
Thanks, Mom.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Good afternoon. We're good.
Thank you. Thank you, Malcolm. They're very nice.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, wait till
Thank you.
this is Mom. Hey, great to see you all, really. Fantastic.
Good afternoon.
That was such a lovely card. Elaine, that was such a lovely card you sent. I showed it to the men and we're all touched by your graciousness. Really wonderful.
Thank you for all you did for Mark.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you for sharing them with us.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
You,
Did a lot of
you
work.
did the big thing. You brought him to us. So thank you for that. You did the heavy lifting. We just enjoyed his company.
He was a great son, though.
Yeah.
He really was.
He always talked about you and how much he cared about you, and just he was always there. So thank you
I
for sharing.
miss him very much.
I believe we do too. Every Thursday we meet, it's like, where's Kaijala? So we feel it. We feel it every time we stand around the fire without him, and in
Yes.
between. Yeah.
Thank you for doing this. Very nice.
Oh,
Thank you.
our pleasure.
Uncle Mark
Really.
had built me a treehouse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He built
Uncle
me,
Mark.
Yeah, he built me a really big treehouse.
That's awesome. Well, the
I
treehouse.
love my
right here-
treehouse.
The treehouse right here at Bill Zulius's house was largely Mark's construction. I can look at it in the background. Mark led the project to build the treehouse for Bill's
youngest
daughters.
daughter.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, double decker to boot, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. I think if we look closely enough, I think there's an elevator in there.
Oh, we know how that goes. Yep. Oh yeah, it's like a house, except all it has is beds in it, and like an actual staircase connecting the bunk beds.
So cool.
Yep, Mark touched our house the same as yours with the work. Every room in our house, he's done something too. So he's here with us always.
Well,
We
we have
miss
a
him
few
very
crew
much.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for doing this. It was
Oh,
wonderful.
absolutely. So great to do it. So great to see you here. I mean, I was just crossing my fingers that you would be able to make it, because really this was for you and Sin and his brothers and his family, you know, even more so than for us. So just so great to see you here.
Well, if it wasn't for the virus, I would be there.
Well, hey, we're gonna wait till the summer, and then we're all gonna get together and have a proper party.
Yes, please invite me. I'll be there.
Okay. You got it. You got it.
Thank you.
How do we access the recording of this?
Let me talk to. I'll talk to Daryl Komaromi over there in Toronto. He was recording everything, so we'll figure out who's. We'll get that information out when we have it.
Still
recording.
Thank you, everybody.
He's still.
Gentlemen, thank you for the work you did putting this together.
Thank you, Sarah, for being here.
I'm so glad that this happened, so I had an opportunity, because I wasn't able to the day of the graveside. So I'm really, really happy this happened. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for being part of.
Yeah, absolutely, our pleasure.
Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, anytime.
And if ever you need something, you can still call us. We'll still come on
Thank you.
behalf of your son.
That's true.
Thank you.
Don't
I
worry about
appreciate,
that.
I
And that's
appreciate
what-
that. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
He's stored up a lot of credit with us, so you can call on us anytime. We'll be there.
But I don't do windows, all right?
Oh, I'll
All right,
remember that.
I will, for you.
Don't ask us for any. Just don't ask us for carpentry help, because you'll be sorely disappointed, because none of us is Marc Kaijala in that area.
Wow.
We can pick stuff up and put it down.
Yeah,
though.
we can carry heavy objects over short distances if you need.
I look forward to seeing you again sometime.
Good. Thanks, Celine.
Thank you very
Wonderful.
much. That was wonderful. Thank you.
We'll
Absolutely.
make sure you get a complete copy as well.
Oh, yes, that would be wonderful.
Yeah,
Yes.
it would be great to have the replay, Malcolm, because I know Jonathan wanted to be here today and he couldn't be.
Oh yeah, no, we will. I'll I was joking about how, we love nothing better than to push Daryl Comaromi's button. So if we can bug him to get this tape ready, that'll give us another raison d'etre, another reason to exist. So we'll get on him about that.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
As
Thank
we
you.
say, get her done.
Get her done.
Get her done.
Yep.
You want.
You got it.
Take care, everybody. Great
Yeah,
to see
you
all.
too. Nice to
Luca.
see you, Luca.
Great to see you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was very nice.
First Santa Claus. Chaz Luca.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you again.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Sarah.
bye all.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Malcolm, and the best to all the men. And that was a wonderful performance.
Thank you, Sin. So great to hear from you and to have you here.
Have a good weekend. Bye now.
You too.
Bye.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Awesome, thank you. You didn't have to do that. Don't give up.
All right.